I have to get into a better mood somehow, and you know that's the Cam. What time do you need that thing I asked you for by last night?
He's in Scotland
today, so I can splice in. Anyways, so that's a great way to bring us in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a very, very special edition of Anime-Versal Reviews podcast, a crossover with the Cantina. And what I was just kind of complaining about a second ago was Cam was supposed to give us like a Cam's Corner booth, you know, going with the whole Cantina vibe and give us his thoughts on Star Wars Visions. But he Scotsed us. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm making it a thing right now. He Scotsed us.
I like it.
Hey, so I'm Cam Clark. I'm not normally into anime, so Kyle had asked me to, as a Star Wars fan, though, to say what I had thought of them. So I've watched them all now. It's still not for me. Anime's still not my thing. However, there was one or two of them that I thought were interesting enough that they kept my attention. The Duel. I've forgotten the name of another one. But the one that I particularly actually enjoyed and would actually like to see more of was The Ninth Jedi. I thought that was a really interesting take to what we assume is in the future. In a kind of different era, and that was just an interesting story to me that I would like to see more of. So that's my thoughts. Thanks.
I'm the head, you know, no, I'm joking. Cam's a great guy, but he did miss out on that, but I'm going to splice it in. Everyone can listen to it. Like I said, it's Anime-Versal Reviews with the Cantina. I am Kyle Malone, joined by the regular AVR co-host, Christine.
Hi.
And Brian Brantley.
Hey.
And of course, we have our AVR, like what's it called at large? Jammer, who is the other big
at large. What does that mean?
Anime-Versal Reviews podcast.
No, but at large. Why you call me at large?
Because you're not always on the show, but when
is
there's
that a term?
Yeah, like editor at large.
I've never heard that.
Never heard that?
Never heard that.
I'm using it right, aren't I? Like an editor.
Yeah,
at large?
I've never heard of it before. So I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're using it right. 100%.
And he is the former editor-in-chief of LRM Online, Joseph Jammer Medina.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. And he also does Breaking Geek Radio here on the Genreverse Podcast Network. And the other guy from the Cantina joining me here is Shockey. What's up, bud?
Not too much.
Shockey also writes, helps run LRM Online. Brian does have a YouTube channel, PulpMythos. Please like, share, and subscribe. All of that, as well as the Genreverse Podcast Network, wherever you get those from, and the LRM Online YouTube channel. A lot of great celebrity interviews. All of our podcasts go up there, and of course the website LRMOnline.com. I think I got everything. Oh, growgeneration.com sponsors this thing. Thank you guys so much. There, now we got it all. Guys, Star Wars Visions. Holy crap. How long have we seen fan manga, little kind of not so official anime or not so official Star Wars manga, and just thought, I hate to use the phrase, but what if, like I've thought it, that the TIE Fighter fan anime is a big one that people always bring up. Mm-hmm. It was like something you could never really imagine happening back in the days of the like prequel trilogy, and of course the gap between the prequels and the sequels. I never imagined it. And Jammer, I know you big in anime, big into Star Wars, and you're a lot like me, where you're almost kind of done seeing stuff, you know, tied to the name Skywalker. Dude, what was it like for you to see Visions finally, man?
So first of all, like you said, it's something that I've been excited to see. I think anime nerds like us, I've always kind of imagined a potential anime sort of feel to this series. The closest we got was, what were those shorts, like Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures? Is that what those were?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those were like the closest we got to sort of an official anime style. And then that short that you talked about, so I kind of like glommed onto it. People made like anime openings using those, and it was just really good stuff. But yeah, when it was announced that we'd be getting this, it was like, finally, two things. A, I love anime, obviously. B, like you said, I'm over the Skywalkers, and not just over the Skywalkers. Get me far away from everything. Let me see different genres within this space opera universe. And that's what I got. I got what I wanted, but like the Animatrix, kind of a mixed bag. There are some stuff that are some episodes that are stronger than others, but I think there was only 2 where I was just like, I'm bored. But the rest of them, I feel like had some redeeming qualities that I can kind of look and be like, even if I don't like the execution, I do want that idea expanded on. And on the whole, I just thought it was a breath of fresh air, even if it was a bit flawed. So that's my overall summation take in a nutshell.
I dig that. Shockey, I'll go to you next because you're not as much into anime as, say, Jammer, Christine, Brian, or I. So your kind of first taste of Star Wars anime outside of those shorts that we talked about is the same as all of ours. Does this turn you on to anime more, less, do nothing? Well,
so I like Jammer. I enjoyed it. I thought it was definitely a different take on Star Wars, and I think like most older Star Wars fans, we are looking for something other than the traditional OT timeline and getting away from the Skywalker.
Are they though? Are they though?
A lot of us.
Look at the Mandalorian.
I don't trust. I'm pretty sure his hand would be raised too.
I'm talking about like the fandom at large. They're just like, I want the same thing, but I don't want the same thing. But
listen, Mando season 1 was really, it had nothing to do with really the Skywalker era, besides it being in the same timeline. But yeah, no, I get you.
But it had all those familiar things that
you're right.
It leaned into the Star Wars isms.
Yeah, no. My only thing with the Star Wars Visions was I thought it was very repetitive on the whole Jedi, concept. It was like I wish that there was something to break it up a little bit more, like do something with the TIE fighters, or do something a battle type deal that didn't really have something to do with Jedi, just to break it up, because if you watch it all in continuous 1 through 9. It's a very repetitive type of theme, Jedi hunting Sith, or Jedi running away from something, so, but I enjoyed it. Like the stories were good. There were some that were definitely better than others, and that's usually what you get when you do these type of anthology type creations and mashups, kind of like with the Animatrix and what was it, Batman, Gotham Knight, right? Yeah, there's some people like some, and everyone has their favorites on there. So mine ended up, of course, I think the most popular one was the Duel, because you start off right with it. I think that was on what I was reading online, so a lot of people's kind of big favorite there. And then the my second one was the Lop and Ocho one, and it was kind of I know it was weird, but it reminded me a lot of like the anime that I grew up with was Ranma 1/2, and watching that, and it was that style and technique, and so I think it just brought back a little bit of my like childhood, watching that, and that was it. I mean, but no, I thought overall it's something that I think could really go deeper. I think you could do another Visions, anthology mix and have it a different theme.
Not do them yearly, like basically yearly. A season. Yeah,
and just have different themes to them. Yeah.
I do want to talk about 2 things you mentioned before we get to Brian. So, I agree with you. It was too centric on the Jedi.
Yeah.
And what's something that Jonesy said in Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, which you can listen to, he talked about how they kind of were structured the same way, where it all kind of culminates in like a lightsaber battle at the end. Yeah. And I wish there was some sort of variation there. And I agree completely. Even though like I feel like what I liked about it was the stories, even though it all kind of centered around Jedi, like the worlds maybe around them and the characters were different enough for the most part that it felt relatively fresh, even if it was kind of repetitive. But then the other thing you said with Lop and Ocho was like, the thing about that one is I felt like I was really excited for that because it reminded me of Mamoru Hosoda, who likes his animal type characters.
Yeah.
He's a filmmaker. And I was just like, oh, that'll be a fun one. And I was just bored. I didn't get it. I didn't get that one, but we can talk about that specifically later. But I felt bad because that was one I was, I think, the most excited for. That was the most disappointing to me.
And then the last thing on going on the repetitiveness. I think it was 7 out of the 9 had the "I've got a bad feeling about this" reference, and almost, I was just like, by the 7th one, like the 7th time I heard it, I was like, okay,
You know,
each
each studio probably got, because I think there are 2 studios that have 2. I bet you each studio got their line in because they're like, we have to include that.
And
because...
and Christine, what to keep it going, Christine, what was your take on it?
I really enjoyed it. Of course, I agree with a lot of the same points about it being repetitive, and it's like there's constantly like a lightsaber, appearing, and it kind of felt like, there's other things besides that, you can touch on that instead. But yeah, I did enjoy it. But then like near the end, I'm kind of like, because we like binged it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get a little antsy. I'm starting to get a little bored from this. So breaking it up, when we rewatched it in English, felt a lot better for some of the episodes. So yeah.
I think it's interesting to me, like how I feel bad almost judging it for that, because these aren't really meant to be watched one after another another. Like, I almost feel like we should almost look at it and be like, in a vacuum, how does this hold up? And not necessarily draw the connections, because there really aren't any. Or you know what I mean?
And not only that, but Brian, I'm wondering if you might be on the same wavelength at me. In your comments, do you want to take a stab at why some of the repetitiveness might kind of be there? Did you think on that at all yourself?
There was an obsession with kyber crystals. Like that was a theme in most of them, and that led to the lightsaber battles, Siths, Jedi. And it did get to a point where I was sitting there like, okay, cool. I agree. Why don't we have a X-Wing story or a TIE fighter pilot, or something that it's not just Jedi and Sith? But I did find the crystal theme funny, because each one, it was like, oh, the crystals. Matter of fact, they were giving them powers and abilities that I don't recall in any kind of Star Wars lore, which was fine. It was the creative direction they wanted to go. But after all of them, that was definitely a theme that I noticed throughout.
Yeah, I think there was one of the shorts that like really, I feel like once you got to one of the shorts, it really capitalized on the whole lightsaber world building mythology stuff. And I was like, okay, you can't really top that. So there shouldn't be any more lightsabers.
Right.
And then what I'm talking about was
we'll get to production IG's Ninth Jedi, because that's been a big
my favorite
topic for everyone. One of the so I of course love this. 8 out of 9 of them I would watch again, and several I would love to watch more of that story. It's very, very obvious that Japan loves their culture, which is all throughout the original Star Wars, through admitted inspirations from Kurosawa films, and then you can also see the things that they latch onto within Star Wars that reminded them of all of that. And I think that gives you the repetition. And also, again, this is the first time a lot of these creators, artists, directors, writers, and all that have ever gotten an actual opportunity to touch this universe in an official capacity. So I saw them wanting to use. I've got a bad feeling about this, having Toby be to Obi-Wan. I mean, come on, I love all of that.
Duo.
And, and absolutely, I think the binging, Jammer, you hit that on the head. We really do have to separate these and look at them as individuals, which is why we watch them in kind of like little episode chunks during the rewatch of the dub. And I really want to just make this as fluid as I can, so let's just go into the conversations and let's kind of go in reverse order of what we just did. I'll go last again though, and Brian, give us your favorite episode and a little bit why.
My favorite episode was the Ninth Jedi, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was because it felt like a pilot episode of a series. I got all the characters, the villains, a story arc, and it felt like it was going to go in another direction. The idea of a forging lightsabers, that was just cool. The revelation at the end that, they were Sith, and the blade would reflect the user. All that stuff was just really neat. And like I said, by the time you got to the end, there was also a lot of reveals. Like there were little mysteries, and you're wondering, well, what's going on? When we get to the end, I'm like, please give me a second part at some point. So if there is a Vision season 2, I hope this story continues.
Or maybe if there's a spin-off series from it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's been some rumblings, and for those of you that don't know, Disney didn't advertise it stupidly. There's like a Disney gallery in the extras on Disney Plus, filmmaker focus, 5 to 7 minutes on each episode.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. That's exciting.
They didn't freaking push it out, so I of course watched them.
Thank you. You're providing a service, Kyle.
Yes.
Thank you.
In it, there's some rumblings online because in it there's some out of context comments about, hey, if the fans liked it, who knows? That's all it is. Literally, other filmmaker focuses say similar things, but everyone's latching on to this because it's that beloved. It was done by Production IG, which most people that don't necessarily know the studio names, because I don't get into studios as much either, but this is the people responsible for Ghost in the Shell. As soon as you see the Ninth Jedi, you're just like, the 90s. It looks, it feels, it even smells like 90s anime.
Really? That's how you felt?
Yes.
That's funny, because I
absolutely.
remember I started watching it, and then I was like, who did this? I was like, that's Production IG? Doesn't seem like it. I didn't feel it.
It didn't feel like Ghost in the Shell. That's not what I'm saying. They did Ghost in the Shell. I'm not saying that it felt like 90s though. Brian, did you get a 90s sense from it going
a little
into that
bit,
animation?
but I didn't realize who it was. No.
So
I mean, the combat at the end, there was some 90s flair there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I felt? More than that, I'm realizing now, because I looked up the filmmaker, the director.
Mm-hmm.
He did Eden of the East, and the animation feels a lot like Eden of the East. And if you don't check it out, it's actually this really fun thriller, futuristic type thriller. It's really fun. It's it doesn't take itself too seriously, but the animation reminds me of that, and I think that makes sense. Makes sense.
Christine, what was your either the best or favorite, however you want to phrase it?
I was going to say the same thing, the Ninth Jedi, and you all hit on a lot of the same points that I was going to say. Out of all 9 episodes, this one hit the most little check marks. I like to be surprised. I like a good fight. I like a good story, and it covered everything, and I didn't see anything coming, and it was the most exciting. So
very cool. Mike, over to you. You mentioned Slope and Ocho.
Yeah. Ooh. But my favorite one. I liked it. But my favorite one was the duel.
Okay, go ahead.
It felt like it was like a Quentin Tarantino film, in that short time frame. I really could see Tarantino taking that storyline and expanding on it. Because it kind of gives you the twist that it's not a Jedi, hunting. It's another Sith, protecting a village. He's got the Kyber crystals. Revealing that he's collected, a bunch of red Kyber crystals.
I'm thinking he's maybe former Sith because he's a
Sith,
straw hat Rodin. He no longer has a master.
The way he wins put a big smile on my face.
Yeah. I mean, it was just it was classic. It was the classic, style of the samurai film, Western film. It just had all those things for me that I kind of enjoy. But enough of a twist there that when Tarantino does a film, he's got to put his little spin on it to make it his own. I felt like that was. It made it very different for me. So that's kind of when I started off with that, I was hooked for watching the rest of the episodes.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. I really did dig the duel. Everyone really, if you go and watch reaction videos to the initial trailer for full trailer, not the behind the scenes look, you watch reactions literally when he unsheaths his lightsaber, everyone has the exact same reaction. Oh
yes.
Yeah, it's a cool
animation
shot.
Was very, 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 very cool. And music, which I do want to touch on as a broader theme in a little bit as well, was really awesome. I almost hate that they set that first because it really did set quite a high bar. But yeah, Jammer, what's your pick for favorite?
Well, I do want to address that first.
Sure, go
I think you're right as far as the duel. It did set a high bar, not just in terms of cool factor, but also it's like stylistic factor. You expect to be highly stylized. Really, I guess there was the duel, the twins, and then Toby. Those were the stylistic ones.
Akakiri.
The rest of them were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Akakiri.
Yeah.
Okay. But the rest of them were pretty standard in terms of their style, their animation styles different, but like relatively standard. So I think it did kind of set a high bar in terms of stylization. But my favorite, like you all, Ninth Jedi, I think it's well, not all you all, but a couple of you.
Most of
The
us.
Ninth Jedi. It's so good because, well, first of all, like the world building is really good, and then the main character really it kind of takes that sort of farm boy archetype, but like adds a little twist to it. We're making her involved in like the creation of the lightsabers, or her father's creation of the lightsabers. And it's just, they made her really likable and capable at the same time. And while not being a Mary Sue type character, like a lot of people complain about with Rey, it's like, oh, she's raised by a guy who makes lightsabers for a living. Of course, she's going to know that. And the world building, how I think Brian mentioned it, how the lightsabers reflect their user, and it basically reveals who they are. Fantastic visual way to make this amazing reveal at the end about all these characters, and it was so cool. Like it made me want more, and it just felt like the most, ironically enough, as Brian said, it does feel like almost like a pilot, but it also felt like perhaps the most complete and satisfying of all of them, like the most well-rounded by the end, and I was just on board.
I can tell you guys why my actual favorite is different, but this is by far the best. And in that filmmaker thing, the director was telling how they actually came up with two pitches, and they were both in the same kind of world, because when you build a short, you still have to build a bigger world and then pick a place for your short in there. And Lucasfilm and Studio Ghibli or whatever it is, the production company that they were working with overall, said, do you guys want to put these together and into one big one? And they lit them. And that's why it feels so much more than any of the other things, because this is literally two shorts of a bigger world fully formed in this guy's brain, put together and then re-shortened once again.
It accomplishes a lot really quickly. Like it's very efficient with its time. Like I think it was 20 minutes, maybe.
It's the
but
longest, I
it's the
believe,
longest.
isn't it?
No, it's
Like
not. Lopinocho's the
23?
longest.
Is it?
I think so. I'm talking out
I
my
don't
ass, but I
have the
think I remember
run
looking it
times
up.
on Wiki. Sorry, guys. But
I'll
yeah,
pull it up right now.
they're all really quick. Did you have another thought on that, Jammer? Or?
Not all of them feel very.
Nine
quick,
Jedi's
I will say
22
that.
minutes, and
Oh, okay.
Lopinocho's 20 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There you
I
go.
mixed them. So yeah, you're right. It is the longest one. Well, it didn't feel like it. Lopinocho felt like the longest one. Actually, no, it didn't. I think Toby felt like the longest one to me, which was probably one disappointing one for
I
me for
agree.
various reasons.
I think the longest one actually was like the Elder, because the way it started out,
Yeah.
my brain was like, okay, there's too much dialogue. You haven't hooked me in yet.
Well,
I'm getting a little bored. But it turned out to be really good.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, it's like you need to
That was
work on
the
hooking
worst
really.
story.
oh,
That
go.
one had the worst story.
The Elder gets a pass just simply being from Trigger right now, and I'm on
No,
Trigger
no,
like a fat
Trigger-
kid on a cupcake. So yeah.
So
That was the
here's
worst
thing.
story out of all.
Here's the thing: the Trigger, the twins. I had high hopes for the twins,
Mm.
and the twins did not deliver. It had.
It
It was
delivered so
basically the
well.
epitome of style over substance, but the style even wasn't nearly as cool as I wanted to be. I could go and watch Kill la Kill and Promare
Oh,
and
absolutely.
any of their other shows and get more style than this
absolutely.
one,
But this
and
is
more substance.
This is why I loved the twins. One, their stylized use in Promare is beautiful. I love it. It's so blocky and basic, and these just big, bold, blocky colors that take up so much space when everyone else is throwing in gradation and layers and I love the way it looked. We watched everything in sub first, and then we watched everything in dub. Everyone knows I'm not an elitist. I'll watch anything any way. I usually just stick with a series in whatever language I hear it first. But I wanted to experience both, because there is one thing when you get A-list actors to do an anime dub, and that's sometimes they Westernize it too much. Jammer, you kind of know what I'm saying. There's like a certain style to doing anime voice work versus Western animated voice work in a larger.
It's a completely different skill set. Like, because you're trying to match lip flaps. You're not just doing a natural performance, and that can lead to sort of a stilted nature. And then also there are a lot of anime voice type tropes that the anime English voice actors are on board with and they understand, but the A-list actors and the directors who they bring in don't necessarily know them, so you don't necessarily have the same transition. However, I will say that is kind of refreshing when you get these A-list actors where they don't bring in those tropes, so the voice might sound more naturalistic and be more accessible as a result of it. So like it can work, and sometimes it can't. Like I'm trying to think of one that really worked.
I think the English dub on the Elder was actually really, really well done overall as far as their delivery. I think Harbor did better than the young man that played Dan, but the kid playing Dan did a great job. But when it came to the twins, the Japanese style was great. This was, to me, the most anime of them all, because it was simple. Like you said, Jammer, there's not a lot of substance here. It is an anime trope fest, and honestly, that's why it's my favorite, because it allowed me to completely unplug from everything, and it looks and feels like a Japanese manga fan that's a Star Wars fan with his action figures in his room. That's what the twins felt like.
I guess that was the main problem. Was I expected it. Like, I agree, it was style over substance, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I almost feel like it wasn't as stylish or stylized as their original work.
Could have been, and that might be. But when it comes to those voice actors, the Japanese ones were great, but Alison Brie and Neil Patrick Harris, you guys actually nailed the excitement, the exaggerations. I felt, as far as like the matching that anime style, as far as people that don't necessarily have a lot of anime experience, they nailed the dub. Alison Brie as Am and Kare, played by NPH, I absolutely loved it. Before we go into looking at the music and some of the other shows and talk about some of the duds, let's take a quick word from our sponsors over at Grow Generation.
Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. For all of your cultivation needs, Grow Generation has the right products, service and staff to make your grow successful. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow.
Thank you guys so much for sponsoring the episode. Check out growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow. Guys, music. Can we all agree that for ever and ever, John Williams' Star Wars music is like the epitome of movie soundtrack? Like, this lives forever, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This to me has been the worst part of The Mandalorian. Not taken away from the music that's there, because it's good. No. Let me finish
Let him finish his thought.
It's not that the music that's there is bad. It's great. I love it. It fits. But I've always said they've needed to work in more Star Wars. This managed to really give us a lot of traditional, very Star Wars heavy feeling ones, but a lot that had enough of a foreignness to it with Japanese, because they used Japanese orchestras for many of these, recording in Tokyo and other places. You could hear some of those cultural differences that you hear in things like a Final Fantasy or a Secret of Mana or something like that, but they managed to Star Wars-fy it more than the Mandalorian feels the majority of the time. And again, that's not me knocking the Mando as being bad, but it's the one thing I've always felt doesn't feel Star Wars enough. So
that's so funny to me. It's ironic, because that's actually one of the reasons I love the Mandalorian soundtrack, is because it doesn't feel at all like Star Wars, and I'm like, oh, they're really going in for something different. I like that. And I think that also is reflective on I think one of my favorite, quote unquote, I don't know why I say quote unquote, one of my favorite scores in the episodes, or my favorite episodes regarding score, is probably the most least Star Wars sounding score out of all of them. And that is The Village Bride, which
I like that one
completely
a lot.
agree.
I do love that one.
gorgeous,
a lot.
so
Yeah.
good, doesn't at all feel like Star
No,
Wars. You
that
can
one
watch
doesn't.
that until the very end. It doesn't feel like a Star Wars story at all. Kind of a slow burn, but the music,
I love that
want
blade.
that soundtrack.
I love
Yeah.
Put that in my
blade.
notes. The Village Bride.
That is
soundtrack.
a good one.
Yeah.
Brian, you since Jaron brought it up, bounce off of that, bud.
No, he's 100% correct. It was the one, like the music in the first, well, I don't know, Tatooine Rhapsody. But
Hey, the Japanese punk rock is what English
It holds up.
translations are hard to sing. The
Very
Japanese style, the Japanese lyrics actually makes the song. Wasn't the music very the music, not the lyric. The music was very
The pillows.
pillows.
Yeah.
FLCL.
but when
Garage
we
Rocky.
get
Oh, okay.
when we
There,
get
go ahead,
to episode 4 of The Village Bride, that was the one where the music stopped me. I was like, oh, okay, that's unique, and it actually caused me to pay more attention to the soundtrack going for the next several episodes. That one to me was the best soundtrack.
Absolutely.
I dig that.
And I think I like the best color. I think this is not related. Best use of colors, I think, was also in that
damn
one.
it, Brian.
Okay.
We'll get to art. Christine, music.
I gotta say, as far as music goes, the second one was my favorite. Because I think the first thing that you introduced me to was
like the
FLCL,
Yeah.
and we listened to the Pillows a lot. We listened to a lot of Japanese rock, and to me, that was my favorite. It as far as music goes. Yeah, because we saw it in Japanese first, so to me, it's like this feels great. I love it.
And that's kind of why I wanted to do subtitled first, is because I knew there was a musical number in there, and I know how bad English translations can. Not always. There are some decents out there, but it definitely sounds better in Japanese. Mike, any musical comments?
I agree with what Brian Jammer said. Like you could definitely tell the references to Star Wars themes. Whether it was like the First Order theme coming through. Sometimes, like I think it was in the Duel. You could get a reference to it, and some of the others. But yeah, the Village Bride was the one that took me out of that. Like it was very different there. So yeah, no, agreed with everyone.
Kind of gives you a break.
Yeah,
Like if you're
yeah.
binging it kind of gives you a break, and it feels really good to watch. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it might be one of those things where again, did the binging hurt this?
I need to
Yes,
watch
it
the I need to
Yes,
watch
it did.
Tatooine Rhapsody though subtitle because
That
Yeah.
was
yeah.
that was
It
a
does make
refreshing.
it better.
I like it on the story level. It was. I think
Story
that one
level,
was
yes.
like,
The music though, it was
like here's the thing. It's like it's almost like watching. Sometimes like when you're watching something and in context, it's like, oh, this is supposed to be incredible because they say it's incredible. You just kind of have to take their word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically what you have to do for a lot of things like that.
Yeah, because I enjoyed the story of it, the Tatooine Rhapsody, but yeah, when it got to the music, I was like, okay, the lyrics don't make any sense whatsoever. So
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, switch
Yeah,
Yeah,
language.
switch it,
over. So, did anyone else have anything big they wanted to talk about on music before Christine kicks us off on some artwork? No, Christine, tell us about some of the art styles that really stuck out for you.
Me, definitely the Duel and the Twins. I really liked, and of course they're both very different. The Twins being very bright, very clean, and then like the Duel, like a lot of shading and stuff. I just when we first started playing it, that was actually really surprising because I hadn't been doing a lot of research on it or anything. I kind of wanted to come in surprised, and it really set everything up, and it was really cool. As far as your scroll down.
No, sure.
See if there's any other that sticks out. I'm trying to think of.
The
Yeah,
last
the
one.
TOB one. It was good. The art was good. The worst is definitely the number 9.
Akakiri. Yeah. It gave me some Aeon Flux and some
Yeah.
really really style. And I'll admit to people, I can be turned off by artwork completely. I can't get into Rise of TMNT, although I hear from valid opinion, sources that it's really, really good. I there's just some things aesthetically I can't get over.
Is that why you can't get into One Piece?
No. So Jammer, I'll admit to you, I'm on chapter 32, 33. The manga, the artwork is awesome in manga. I don't care for the artwork in motion. It absolutely works as a manga. So yeah, thank you for that. Go fuck yourself.
Hey, aw. Well, I do want to touch on Toby though,
Sure.
which I thought was one of the most interesting stylized
Yes.
ones. It was made to look basically like Osamu Tezuka animation, like a stylized version of that. Astro Boy is essentially it's Astro Boy
Yep.
With a touch
illusions
of Mega Man.
up the wazoo. I mean,
'Cause
I feel like Mega Man is based on.
But there's more Dr. Light there with the holograms and the technology.
But he also
style.
looks like Ochana Mizu.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not taking.
Yeah.
And we all know Mega Man comes from that, but I'm saying with that, because it looks more modern than what we see in Astro Boy. I felt more Mega Man, maybe. Whatever.
That's fair.
Continue on.
And
Mega
also
Man X.
Toby.
I don't know why. Regular X.
Toby. The name Toby was so Astro Boy was created by a doctor after the death of his son, whose name was Toby. So that was like another reference to.
What is it? Double entendre.
Yeah.
What?
Harvey Birdman. Yeah, the inside joke. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Anyways, really cool stylization, but after 2 minutes, I was over it, and the story didn't hook me. So whatever. But
I agree. I didn't really like it.
I didn't like the sound effects too. They were very distracting. I like the ambition for the animation. Whoever did the animation, great work. Whoever wrote the story, try harder next time.
The fight did kind of leave a little to be desired, and honestly, when it comes to the artwork and because the Japanese studios that they picked did focus so much on duels and lightsabers, I couldn't help but compare that aspect to all of these, and honestly, while I the Ninth Jedi, but by far the best overall, the twins my favorite overall. When it comes to the fights, it really is Lope and Ocho or the Village Bride. The power up Super Saiyan Jedi moments are, and for both are great. The lightsabers are both very unique. The thin katana gold blade, we'd seen other thin katana, but this was a gold blade, and the character in the Village Bride, the Jedi there, when she goes from Padawan cutting off the braid to full Jedi, and it's really cool. I dug that. And then and Lope and Ocho, when Lope pulls out, the blade's got freaking characters on it, and it's got an aura coming out. It's beautiful. So beautiful, and both of them use a lot of really good use of motion. I dug both of those specifically for their use of the anime style Japanese culture, that when the cherry tree pops up there in Lope and Ocho, and that's what really stuck out to me art wise. Brian, you next.
The duel and the Village Bride, those were my two favorite as far as the art. The duel, there were moments where it almost had a rotoscoping vibe to it, and I thought that was interesting and actually curious why it looked that way. The final fight, the final little sequence with the waterfall and everything, I love that. And then the Village Bride, there were certain shots, especially in the first half, very almost a painting. It was very pretty. The music, the soundtrack, the music and the artwork really worked very well together, and those were the two that stuck out to me in terms of art.
Village Bride came from Kinema Citrus, Code Breaker, Norn 9. I'm looking for Made in Abyss. I'm looking at Rising of Shield Hero. Some of the bigger names that I can just see out of Eureka 7, Pocket Full of Rainbows movie, the Made in Abyss films, and a Dot Hack OVA. So yeah, not necessarily like the most prestigious lineup there, but dude, Village Bride is a crown jewel for sure for Kinema. Jammer, did you talk art, or are we up to Mike? I lost.
We're on Mike.
Mike, go ahead.
I mean, the only thing I'll add on to what everybody said is the styles of all the different lightsabers were very interesting. I think that's why I like Lo Pinocho's the green lightsaber, how it had the detail on it, with the characterization of the family, lineage on there. The duel there, how it looked like a katana, like a katana hilt and everything, and when he pulls it out, it's already lit up and he's pulling out just like a katana sword. So I mean, to me, that was so cool. It was such a different concept of Star Wars and the lightsaber model instead of just the traditional. Here's the hilt lighted up and the blade extends out. So I loved how each studio took their own interpretation of it, and some of them it was the traditional style, but then like what the duel was able to do, that hooked me right there. When you see the handle, it's a traditional katana handle, and he pulls it out, and you see it just it's already illuminated and everything. That to me, that was awesome.
Cool. Christine, anime is can be polarizing here in the United States. You see it all the time. Comments on changes made, whether it's to an anime or manga adaptation, cultural things, costumes. It all gets thrown in the air, and often people forget America's not the center of the universe. So getting to see Japan's take on Star Wars as a female, and getting to see their take on both female heroes and female villains, and kind of their treatment with those characters in this universe, even though it's kind of like a offshoot separate universe as their own, just kind of the female perspective on Visions. We're fine.
Okay. I was like, what are you doing? For
check it, make sure we're fine, but we're
okay.
good.
For me, it was just, it felt great. Like I don't think I have anything to add about females really. Just, it didn't feel like anything was trying to, lift or lower females. It kind of felt natural and real, and it didn't take me out of the experience of, like where there's some things I've mentioned, like Endgame, where all the females are gathered.
The
and it's like
A-Force moment.
I don't need a moment like that. It feels weird and awkward. But here the story just flowed with a lot of them, and yeah, it felt great.
Cool. Well, that's like the only real female oriented question I had, and when you dig into anime, one of the things with the problem in the West, and Jammer I'm sure knows this firsthand, is just how little the general audiences in the West actually see of anime, and it really is sometimes the lowest hanging fruit that gets big over here, but then some gems will get big over here as well. Anime has for decades had good and bad dealings with social topics and representation and female hero statuses and whatnot. So it's always interesting to me to dig into those aspects, because again, personally, I think America's greatest country on earth, but it's not the only country on earth. So I always get curious to hear how other people are rationalizing cultural differences in a place that's a lot more homogenous than America, because I think a lot of people forget that plays a huge factor into how different a culture can seem to us when other cultures are more homogenous. So yeah. Anyways, guys, I can't think of anywhere else to go with it. Oh wait, yeah, one last one. Duds. Christine and I both thought Akakiri was a dud. Story didn't quite hit. The sub voices and the
I had to turn my
noises.
brightness up on that one. It was so dark that like
yeah.
I had to like adjust the settings on my screen to actually brighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Rakakiri?
The very last one. Jammer.
So you can't even remember it. It's
Yeah.
it's-
They were
I honestly,
and
I was
lots of
watching
whistles
it.
and-
I was watching. I was like, I'm bored, and then I kind of zoned out.
Yeah. Brian, I just
yeah.
heard you say yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
The first half, I was like, okay, where's this going? There was a lot of it felt like pointless scenes, and then
Mhm.
you get to the end. I mean, it was one of the.
It had a
we
good
get little
ending.
Fight. It was fine.
Yeah.
The
I
end,
mean,
I like the implications of the ending. I really enjoyed, but like it was one of those things where I'm like, I like the concept. God, boring though. Like, no.
Yes.
It was
Okay,
only about
wow.
11 or so minutes, but it could have been 5. And that's,
Yeah.
that's my fault.
There is a little bit of an interesting story there with the guy, being.
Is there?
You
Is
know,
there, Kyle?
No, the idea, because they touch on it in Ninth Jedi with someone that had redeemed themselves but is tempted again. The guy, the almost Botan looking mammalian alien from Ninth Jedi with the pinkish purplish lightsaber. Science Saru did this. That's Space Dandy, guys. Space Dandy did I just messed up. Akakiri. Thank you. They did this one. They also did, I think, the Yokai Watch movie, Garo the animation, Devilman Crybaby. Those are some of the bigger names that I can.
I think
see right off the
really
top.
quick, animation studio is cool, but also I recommend looking into the directors specifically because I know that animators they
Can
hop all over the
change.
place,
Yep.
and then also studios, especially these days, are often not studio. They're studios in name. They're more of like a
And they
production team
outsource
that
a
like
lot.
just gather resources and get a bunch of freelancers. So it's not as cut and dry. I think Studio Trigger is sort of like one of the few actual like proper studios. I mean, I actually don't know much about these, like a lot of these other ones. If Production IG still does it that way, but a lot of them don't these days. So I highly encourage you to look at the directors and kind of go from there.
Yeah, one of the things I've talked about on Anime-Versal with Brian, and especially because Christine always doesn't like to dig into behind the scenes stuff like that. I really don't like digging into names as much in anime, because then I get bogged down in a lot of that stuff like I do with Star Wars, and I get too invested in people and stuff. So, but Jammer is absolutely right. Yeah, the actual artists and directors themselves, they do hop around often and carry their style with them. Anyone else have anything they want to ding any of the other episodes on?
I do.
What's up, Christine?
I didn't get a chance to say it, but yeah, Lope and Ocho. I don't know why the daughter flipped her
Ocho.
opinion.
There was no. It was 20 minutes long, and I still don't understand why she did what she did.
Exactly. It made no sense on why she did what she did. And then also it's like she brings in this girl, come join our family. And then, 7 years later, she's like, oh, you're not family. Like, how do you change that much?
This is like this is like one of them where I'm like, I like the idea, but there's like that shift there. But
you needed a lot more.
You need a reason why, and they didn't provide a reason why. It's just,
Exactly.
she just doesn't believe she's family anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty much it. That's too much unexplained.
Too much time having fun with the rabbit jumping around, which I hope is a legitimate or a deliberate reference to Jackson, and that is his name, Jackson, Jaxxon, the green alien rabbit from the old Star Wars Marvel comics.
Oh yeah, I have no idea.
So I hope that's a direct.
So is it the same species? Did we just say what species she was?
No. They I didn't even, other than Tatooine. I don't even think there's a canon planet here. Tatooine and Coruscant are the only two canon ones I think we see. Mike, you're more up to date on current canon. Did you hear any familiar names?
No, I think they were all. The Elder is the only one that I was like, because they reference Outer Rim and they said some planets. I was like, I was like,
maybe.
I gotta look
Okay,
those.
so,
maybe.
As far as I know, Jammer, Tatooine is shown in two Toby and Tatooine Rhapsody, and then oh wait, I think it's Camino. They're on when they have to run away from Fett the first time. But it looks like it might be, but it's definitely Coruscant that the Padawan is running from Order 66. So guys, outside of that, I thought it was great. I'd love to see them do this again. Look, I have dreams of the Ninth Jedi series. I think that was wonderful. I would even almost like a season that shows us the Margrave finding the Kyber and setting up his big plan, and then like in between season 1 and 2 is the Visions episode, and then season 2 is what happens next. Yep. I would kill for anything. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, and I would temper expectations that are being built on some out of context things from those filmmaker focuses, but I highly suggest we watch them. And of course, I'm not saying that it'll never happen, because I hope, but right now I just feel like it's just that, hey guys, we would love to do, because one of the original founders of Trigger said that this is, as far as he's concerned, unless asked to do another one, he's done. He's retiring. This will be his last. He said that.
Which one was this?
Crap. The one that did the Elder. The Elder. Okay. That director. I already closed out the window, so sorry. But he said Star Wars was one of the things that got him into animation, and so going out on Star Wars felt right. He did say, I might think again on that if they asked us to do another one. So that's why I mean, like, that one with the Ninth Jedi is out of context, because others were saying similar things. But again, that doesn't mean that. I mean, guys, look, Disney swore up and down that they were done with the EU, and then they realized that there's money to be made on that. Who called that? So who knows? There's money to be made on the Ninth Jedi, I think, because rumblings on the internet, everyone seems to love it. All right, guys, let's do the round robin here. LRMonline.com, all your entertainment news, needs, and opinions. The podcast network, Genreverse podcast network from LRM Online. Great shows. Breaking Geek Radio podcast usually hits on for Fridays. We got Marvel Multiverse Mayhem on Mondays. The Cantina on Fridays. Anime-Versal reviews, and of course the Daily Cup of Genre. And there's other great on and off shows like No Mercy. There's gonna be Wheel of Time and all sorts of fun stuff. And of course the YouTube channel where you can get all those shows and video formats and various things and the wonderful interviews. Whew, Brian,
good job.
Being the I know, right? The outsider here. No, but go ahead and tell us about PulpMythos, please.
You can find me on YouTube. The channel's PulpMythos. Currently doing shows like Only Murders in the Building and American Horror Story. Check it out.
Cool. Very cool. Christine, what do you do for LRM?
I'm one of the writers. I also do Anime-Versal and Midnight Run.
Puppets.
And yeah. And I forgot No Mercy.
Yep.
Can't wait for that to start up again.
No, Cobra Kai. Jammer, what you got going on, bud?
I write stories. You could find a lot of them under the name AJ Cerna on Amazon and Audible. And I also am serializing my new fantasy series called City of Mages on Wattpad.
Nice.
And of
Very
course,
cool.
Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, which comes out either Thursdays or Fridays, depending on if there's a movie coming out Thursday night that we want to talk about Friday, then we'll push it a day. And then if not, Thursdays. Also work schedule. We're consistent, I swear.
We're trying to get same day because of scheduling and everyone living in different places, including myself. Trying to get Breaking Geek set up to where we can start getting more same day YouTube uploads for them as well. Shockey, tell us a little bit about LRM Online, and then let's get out of here, guys.
Yeah, just continuing the tradition of posting as much as we can on LRMonline.com about the topics that you guys care about the most, and now we're branching out and doing the Genreverse podcast network and trying to keep expanding on that and trying to keep the good name going. So make sure you subscribe, support the channel, support the website, and do all that. You guys are amazing.
Yep. Thank you guys so much. We will be back next week with, Jammer, I have no idea how Christine and I are going to do this, but Panty and Stocking, everyone, on Midnight Run next week.
Panty, stocking.
Absolutely. I
love that show.
I honestly don't know. Literally, I think it's just going to be one giant black sensor bar and a beep. So yeah, this has been Anime-Versal. Oh, were you going to say something? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was in agreement.
Last thing, because I have to plug my stalker relationship with Mike Stackpole in the Twins. When in the Twins, when Kare uses his part of the kyber crystal, he turns it into an iridescent blade. It's changing colors, right? The kyber crystal and an extending lightsaber had been used by Mike Stackpole's character, or not the kyber crystal, but the iridescent color, and an extended blade had been used by Karan Horn from Mike Stackpole's X-Wing books and I Jedi, but he borrowed at least the extension part, I'm not sure on the colors part, from Alan Foster Dean or Alan Dean Foster, the old Star Wars writer, Splinter of the Mind's Eye. So anyways, I tagged him on Twitter because the extending and then the iridescent colors specifically stood out, because Karan Horn's the only one that I ever knew of that had an iridescent blade. So anyways, way to go, Star Wars fans in Japan. AVR and the Cantina, may the force be with you. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.